Welcome, students. Let's continue our chapter Stars and the Solar System. So now, students, we know that moon does not produce its own light. Then how we are able to see it shining in the night sky? So, students, we are able to see the moon because of the sunlight falling on the moon gets reflected towards the earth. So when sunlight falls on the moon, and then part of this sunlight is reflected towards us, is reflected by the moon towards earth, and when this reflected sunlight enters our eyes on the earth, to us it appears as if the light is coming from the moon itself. And since the sunlight reflected by moon enters our eyes, we are able to see the moon. So moon shines with the sunlight reflected by it. However, we can see only that part of the moon from which sunlight is reflected towards us on the earth. Although the moon reflects sunlight towards us even during daytime, but yes, we cannot see the moon during daytime due to the glare of the sun. We had discussed it, right? We can see the moon only during night time when the sun is not present in our sky. And the very important point, students, is that the moon always shows the same face, same side to the earth as it rotates on its axis. So, why it is so that we are always seeing the same face, same side of the moon? This is because the moon completes one rotation on its axis in the same time which it takes to complete one revolution around the earth. So basically the period of rotation of moon on its axis and the period of revolution of moon around earth is same. That is why we can never see the back side of the moon. We can never see this back side of the moon. um, we can only see one half of the moon or one side of the moon that is lit by sun. Okay. And students, one more thing is that if we observe the moon continuously every night for a month, we'll find that the shape of the visible part of the moon changes every day or whole month, right? And this change is repeated again and again, month after month. You can see here in this picture the portion of the moon that is towards us that we are able to see is changing. Shape of the moon is changing day by day, right? So basically the different shapes or appearances of the bright visible part of moon as we see from the earth during the whole month, these are called phases of the moon. So you can see here some of the phases of the moon, and we will see the moon changes its shape every day. And in these phases, in these shapes which we see every day, we'll observe that there is one day in the month when the moon cannot be seen in the night. Even when the sky is clear, when there are no clouds, the day, rather night, on which the moon is not visible at all is known as new moon day. We have a very dark night on this day of month because there is no moonlight at all. And on the next day, only a small curve like portion like this of the moon appears in the night sky, and this is known as the crescent moon. And then thereafter, every night, the size of the bright visible part of the moon becomes bigger. It appears to become bigger and big, giving us many shapes, including half moon, more than half moon. And after 15 days from new moon day, we can see the whole bright disk of the moon on the night sky, in the night sky, right? So there is also one day in a month when the moon is visible as a perfectly round ball of light in the sky. The night on which the whole bright disk of the moon is visible to us on the earth, that is a full moon day. So we have the maximum moonlight during the night on this day of month. Thereafter, every night, the size of the bright visible part of the moon goes on becoming smaller and smaller. And after 15 days, the process is repeated endlessly. From this discussion, we can conclude that the shape of this visible part of the moon changes every day over the whole month. And this change is repeated again and again, month after month. And these different shapes of the bright visible part of moon as seen from earth are called as phases of the moon. And yes, moon the cycle completes after every 28 days. Okay, one more thing is here, that when the amount of illumination on the moon is increasing, that means um, when there's a gradual increase in the bright disk of the moon, that is called the waxing phase of the moon or the waxing of the moon. And after full moon, the bright phase goes on decreasing every night, right? And decrease in the disk of moon is called waning of the moon or waning moon. Okay, so this waxing and waning of the disk of the moon as the moon revolves around the earth is known as phases of the. So we will now describe why moon changes its shape every day. We'll explain how the formation of phases of the moon takes place. So students, a moon has no light of its own, right? So moon shines and becomes visible to us because it reflects sunlight falling on it towards earth. But since the moon revolves around the earth, and the earth along with moon revolves around the sun, right? So we cannot see all of the sunlit surface of moon from the earth all the time. We can see only that part of the moon, that part of the sunlit surface of moon which is towards us, right? So depending upon the relative position of the sun, moon, and the earth, we see different amounts or different portions of the sunlit surface of the moon from earth, right? So as the moon revolves around the earth once every month and moves around the sun along with earth, so different amounts of its sunlit surface are turned towards the earth, leading to a change in the appearance of the moon and formation of the phases of the moon. So it's clear that phases of the moon occur due to continuously changing positions with respect to earth and the sun. So when the moon is on the side of the earth nearest to the sun, here, okay, in this position, then the side of the moon which is lit by sun is away from earth. You can see here in this figure, this part, this portion, this reflected part is away from earth, right? And the side of moon which is towards earth, this part is towards the earth, it's in darkness because sunlight is not reflected from this side. So in this position, what happens, moon appears to be in darkness from earth and hence cannot be seen, and this is called new moon. Okay, and as the moon moves in its orbit around the earth, right, from this position to the next position, we can see the we can see a small lit portion of its surface of moon, and this is called crescent moon. And then as the moon moves further from this position to another position, the sunlit portion of moon facing the earth, that becomes bigger and bigger, right, giving us half moon, more than half moon, right? And this is called as the waxing phase. This is known as the waxing phase. It is the increasing phase of the moon. Now after 15 days from this new moon day, the moon reaches here on this position, which is on the side of the earth farthest from sun. Now this time moon is farther from the sun. Earth is between sun and moon. Okay. So what happens in this position? The whole sunlit side of the moon is towards earth, right? And we see the moon as a full bright disk of bright light. This is called full moon. Okay. And then again, as the moon moves around the earth from this position to this position, then to this position, then to here, in this position, the sunlit portion of the moon facing the earth becomes now smaller and smaller. Here, in this case, it increases from new moon to full moon. Here, the sunlit phase side of the moon is increasing, but now the sunlit side of the moon is decreasing.
It's decreasing now day by day. It means the sunlit portion of moon becomes smaller and smaller, and this is called the waning phase, decreasing phase of the moon. And ultimately, moon completes the revolution around the earth and again reaches to this first position, this new moon day. So we have new moon once again. So after every new moon day, the sunlit part of moon visible from earth increases every day. On the other hand, after the full moon day, the size of sunlit part of moon visible from earth decreases every day. So we can have one new moon and one full moon during a month, which is the time taken by moon to complete one revolution around the earth. And this time period between one full moon and the next full moon, one full moon to next full moon, this time period is actually 29 and a half days, 29.5 days. In the moon based calendars, this period of 29.5 days is taken as a month. So this is all about the formation of phases of the moon.